Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth, and in my video last week I spoke about how a week after completing on my new house and getting the keys, I found out from my firm that they were closing and I am being made redundant, and I'd asked for some advice on here, and I have been absolutely blown away by the well wishes, the encouragement, and the advice I have received, and I'm still receiving. I am trying to respond to every comment as I can. I haven't managed to respond to everyone, but I am going to keep going through all of them. Now, I thought might be helpful if I shared the advice that I've been given on my page in a video in case there is anyone else in a similar situation that could benefit from it. And then I'm also going to go through what I've decided my next steps and my action plan is going to be for my next chapter. So starting off with the advice of what I should do right now, I've still got a couple of weeks left of employment before the firm is completely closed. So up until then, the advice was speak to citizens advice and see if there was anything I would be entitled to with help, for example, additional help with childcare costs, that sort of thing, any sort of job seekers allowance. I'm not clued up with what's available out there. I've never had to receive benefits before, so this is all new to me. So a conversation with citizens advice was well recommended. So that is the first one. Things like updating my CV, applying online, and joining recruitment agencies is an obvious one. That's what I've been doing. There were people that suggested particular websites. I think it was the 5 Hour Club for people who need part-time work in particular, which I myself do. I can only work Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays because they're the only days that I have childcare currently. So applying to recruiters, sending out your CV, and the usual standard job hunting. And that's where I'm getting a little bit stuck because I need something part-time and everything is full-time. So that's the advice for what to do right now up until my job has actually gone. Then on to things that I can do now to bring money in. There was a large theme throughout all of the comments, which was don't rely on companies anymore, do something hands-on and work for yourself. That was a big theme across a lot of the comments. And for me, I do think that is the way forwards. This is actually the fourth time I've been made redundant. I started my career right at the beginning when the bank crash happened, and I went through two lots of redundancies from the age of 18 to 22 because my jobs kept being outsourced to India. I was made redundant during COVID, and then this is the fourth time now. So I'm kind of over working for other people now. It's clearly not stable, and you can't rely on that work. So for me, I want to do something more hands-on and rely on myself. But things I can do to bring in money now. One was rent a room out. So if you've got a spare bedroom and you don't mind having a lodger, rent out your spare room. Renting out the house was another suggestion, along with house sitting as well. So those are things that I could do, or you could do right now to get some form of income if you are in that position. Next are the jobs I can take on now with little to no training. I could just go out, try and find these jobs and just do them. Big one was gardening. So I'd mentioned gardening in the video as something I was interested in and possibly considering. I've done gardening before. Last time I was made redundant back in COVID time, I did in fact help my sister out with her gardens because she is a gardener. So I have a bit of experience already with this area, and it's something that I have been encouraged to pursue because there's apparently a lot of work around and it will work very well around my childcare. Additional things were window cleaning, very easy to start up and not too expensive to get the equipment. Cleaning was another one. Dog walking was definitely a big one. Pet sitting, power washing people's patios. Female handy businesses was another one because there are some people who would much rather have a female worker in their house, especially if they live on their own. Those are the jobs that could be done now with very little experience. Other kind of entry-level jobs that were mentioned were delivery jobs, Royal Mail, telephone customer services, exam marking, Reselling online was another one that was mentioned quite a few times, and personal organizer. I'm not too sure how you'd get into that. I feel like that could be quite an interesting one. Next up is jobs that you can do with training. So again, a lot of these were suggested. For me, if I'm doing training for a particular role, I wouldn't want that role to be a stopgap for something else. If I'm training for something, I'd want that to be my next career choice. So these are all great suggestions, but for me, I don't think I'll go down this route. But these suggestions were childcare, carers in general. There's a massive demand apparently for carers. So that could be a good one to go into. Nursing, that obviously there's going to be a lot of training needed for nursing. Teaching was another one that was suggested, and also IT type jobs. Those were some very, very popular suggestions that do involve a bit more training and obviously jobs you can't just step into. So, what is my plan and what are my next steps? I still have a job until the end of May. That's when the firm is completely closing. That's when I will no longer have a role. Now, before I worked here, I freelanced, and I've actually kept on a very small freelance client, and I've continued to work with them during the evenings. So I still have that one very small client that I will still have afterwards. I've also discussed with my current MD that there may be the possibility of some additional freelance work with him. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and assume that work will be here, but that is a possibility. So regardless, I will still have a little bit of income from my current freelance client. There might be a little bit more coming, and I am applying for jobs. So I'm applying on LinkedIn, on the generic websites, and through recruitment agencies. I am applying for different things. We'll see what comes up. However, I don't think that's going to be the route that I want to go down. I would like to have my own business, and I think that is the route that I would like to take. I'm going to start off with gardening for the time being because we're going into the summer. That's when I'll be the busiest with gardening, and then I'm going to try and have some additional work coming in through the winter that isn't connected to the gardening, because that is when the gardening will quieten down. So I'm going to be creating business cards and some leaflets. I'm going to do a good old-fashioned leaflet drop in my local areas, and going to work on that, try and get a few clients and build up my days where I've got childcare with those clients, plus my freelance work as well. Then in the winter, I'm going to hopefully have built another business alongside this. Now, I'm not going to go into too much about this business for the moment because it's still very much written out on a scrap of paper, but I am going to document the process of it all. And it's going to be to do with crafting. I am a crafting girl at heart. I loved it at school. I should have gone into something creative, and I did science instead, and I ended up office working from the age of 18. So I would like to go back to the crafting creative side that I've always loved and try and carve out a self-employed career with that. I will go into more details as I work through it, but that is my plan. So gardening will be the first one, with this craft business backup throughout the winter. So we'll see how that goes. I may end up doing the gardening full time. I may absolutely love it. I may have enough work to keep me going throughout the winter, but I would like to give this craft idea an opportunity as well. So that is my plan so far. I hope you found this video useful, especially if you are in a similar situation to me. Thank you again to everyone who has commented and given advice and encouragement. That has been beyond helpful. So thank you very much. And I will see you next week with an update of my next steps, of where I'm going, and hopefully some more details on the business as well once I have figured them out.